Wait for the camera to start. Hey everybody. Today is April 27th. It's my day 350. And just wanted to, as always, make a video for the transition blog here. I had a bit of an experience with I've been kind of experimenting. I have a lot of older makeup that I used to use, and so I've kind of been playing with, like, every day I would use a lighter foundation and then test a different finishing powder. Lighter foundation, darker powder, darker foundation, lighter powder, just different combinations. And then today I put them into a grid, just to compare, different scenarios, same view, but different, for my own benefit, to see what looks best for what I like. And while I was doing it, one of the pictures, I saw a face looking back at me that I had not seen in a long time. Let me make sure I get the monitor right. The other day I kind of had the monitor on my chest. Is that better? Yeah. I saw my grandma looking back at me in this photo, and I don't think I can replicate however I had my hair, and it was chance. My hair is just very chaotic anyway. But I saw my grandma, my dad's mom, who passed away because of cancer a long time ago, in the 90s, I believe. I'm sad to say I don't know the exact date. I remember her full of life, not necessarily the day she died, or you know what I mean. And I was one of the few grandkids that actually would go to her cemetery plot, at least like once a month, just to talk to her and whatnot. So she was very special. And anyway, so on my genetic side, on my dad's side, we all have this genetic trait of having, like, the high, I wouldn't exactly call them widow's peaks, but we have, like, these, like, our hair goes way back. It starts way back. And that's kind of why I tend to have these, long hairs down up front to kind of cover that. But my grandma never did. My grandma, I mean, for her it was, a thing of pride, the way she looked and whatnot. And I guess in the pose that I had, I saw her face, and it threw me back for a little bit, because you rewind. If we could rewind the clock and kick the one sperm out of the way so the other sperm made it, and we had a XX chromosome, and or whatever it is, and we were the women we could have been, if chance had been a little different. I guess I saw maybe what myself as a woman, 44 years old, with the heritage that I have, looking like my grandma. I definitely look like my dad. I look like his brother a lot. And in fact, some of my cousins even said, as I was growing out my hair, because he kind of had, like, longer hair, he kind of was like a Western look to him, kind of a cowboy outlaw look to him. And they would say, boy, you're looking more and more like so-and-so. You're looking more and more like so-and-so. And I could see it, And then now, like I said, in that one photo, not so much today, but I looked like my grandma. And it brought a tear to my eye, because, you wish that people could see you. Maybe I wish that my family members could see me happy. Obviously they're gone, they're passed away. I was able to talk to my grandma before she died. not when she was on her deathbed. Don't think I went to the hospital and told her as she was on her deathbed, but about 6 months before she passed away, I told her of my plans to transition. And this was back in the 90s as well. And she kind of looked at me and said, no. And I see some of her in me as well, but more personality wise. But again, that genetic, and it just made me wonder. There's a Red Dwarf episode where there's a cyborg who travels through time, and he evaluates based off what your accomplishments you've had in life, and if you have failed to live up to those expectations, he time travels back and manipulates that DNA so another sperm gets a chance, and then that person grows up and has a life. And they deal with him at one point. And again, it kind of reminded me of that when I thought about what would have things been like had I been a cis girl, from the start. I thought that was kind of interesting, and maybe a good mental exercise for you if you are transitioning or thinking about it or done it. What relative would you maybe look like, or how maybe would things, not in a negative sense, but in a positive sense, whatnot. I thought that was kind of just an interesting thought, and it brought a tear to my eye again, because much like my grandmother who did I almost wish they could see how happy I was. And some of that goes into one of the other gals is experiencing in the Trans Women National Group some transition growing pains right now from her family transitioning. And I wish that my family, the family that have left me, they left me. I didn't leave them. They abandoned me. I kind of wish that they could see how happy I am now. All they know is the unhappy person that was before. And of course, when I told them of my plans to transition, they still wanted that unhappy person. It was okay for me to be unhappy and miserable so long as they were happy. And I thought about, and I wrote to a response to the other person, why don't we transitioning, why don't we have the opportunity to be happy just as much as anybody else? And that's the question. And in my case, I got called selfish by my ex-wife, and I was selfish because I was breaking things up to be true to myself, and didn't I care about everybody else? And you kind of have to say, but don't we all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? And if one person is basing their happiness on someone else, that's a house of cards waiting to fall apart, as it is. So again, like I said, I think any parent, and it's hard, you probably can grasp it, but then it won't make sense to you until you become a parent yourself and you have a child, and you want what's best for your child, and you're willing to accept something that maybe is out of the ordinary so long as the child is happy. Now, I don't want to be put to the test. I don't want my daughter to come home and say, I'm gonna drop out of school and become I'm gonna become a whale hunter, and I'm gonna go get on a whaling ship and kill baby seals. I don't want her to say that to me. But if she was to say to me, I'm gay, or I'm straight, or whatever, I'm nothing, I have it in me to have that empathy to accept that. I wish I could pause the video. Maybe I can. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me try this out. Whoa. Is it recording again? Hey, I can pause it. I might have to keep that in mind. Although these videos kind of are a stream of consciousness. Anyway, The reason why I paused it was because I forgot the next topic, which was, I'm coming up on a year. May 13th will be my year for me, and I'm just about two weeks away from it. Maybe 3 weeks away. I haven't counted. Real quick, I'm going to do that. Yeah, 2 weeks away. And what got me thinking about that was at my work, I have to do an annual review. I have to write up, what are my career goals? What are my aspirations? And you have to kind of catalog what you've done. And so I took the opportunity to go through my old emails from a year ago at work and cataloged all the things that I've done. And of course, it was my review last year in May that I said to my boss, oh, and by the way, I'm transitioning to a female. And so as part of going through my emails, I had to, to write down my stuff I've done this year. I got to read, all of the correspondence between myself and the human resources department and everything else. And I even wrote my supervisor who said, we need to re-up to get ready for review. And I kind of jokingly sent him an email. It's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do to top last year's bomb dropping, oh, and by the way, I'm transgender. But it made me think a lot about, kind of how far I've come in a year. And, it's no surprise to think about, the year ahead, or when you're starting, things are going to change. And I like to think that I'm mentally, my personality is I like to think that my personality is still the same. I'm definitely calmer than I was before, if anything. And before I started this process, I was on blood pressure medicine because my blood pressure would go up and down. I was stressed out. I was on an anxiety medicine that, to keep my anxiety in check. And I was on another medicine for depression. And, over the course of the last year, under the support and advice and direction of a licensed physician, kind of weaned myself off of those things. And so, I think to look back, to compare, and I might have to watch the videos, things have changed. My personality, I think I'm a lot calmer. And definitely like this morning, I went to wake up my daughter for school, and I just saw her, and she was just so cute, and she reminded me of a little baby when she was a little baby, and I just started crying like I'm about to do now. And I just felt so, I'm gonna say motherly, but as a parent connected to her, and just I just had to tell her, I don't think you realize how magical you are, and what a blessing you are in my life. And as part of this transition, I guess what I'm driving to is, someone had said that the person you are at the start of your transition is not necessarily who you are at the end of your transition. And I think definitely I'm not done with my transition yet, but I can definitely say I think I am a bit of a different person, but I still have my sense of humor. And, if I watch some of the videos, a majority of them, I was trying to speak in a higher pitched voice. And, it's something that I find sometimes I slip back into that higher register. And it definitely, if I'm trying to be cute or, have fun or be funny, and naturally I think there's a lot of emotion that gets into my voice. But, being authentic is very important, and we are who we are. And I'll close with this thought. In the movie Boy Meets Girl, Robbie says to the girl, and I forget her name, Ricky, he says, you're not a boy, you're not a girl, I don't know what you are. And in many ways, that's the way that I feel even here after almost a year of HRT is, I'm not a boy and I'm not a girl. I'm somewhere in between. I'm something special. So I'm unique. All right. Bye-bye. Till next time. Good luck.